everyone, welcome back to this week's episode. I am so excited about this week. One, we are finally in the 70s for 4 days straight, which is really exciting. And with that comes back to our topic that we covered last week of the weather being warmer and just being inspired to do all these home projects, this and that. I'm already figuring out new ways to organize around our house, the trend of when spring comes. So on the topic of organization with warmer weather, the garage tends to be one area of the home that people like to organize in the spring because it's not super hot and you're just more inspired to finally get out of the house. And especially now with COVID, this is even more prone now that you're ready. Okay, let's tackle this bad boy. So I want to talk about some things to think about before getting into this very large project, because the garage is usually one of the largest, if not largest, project that you ever take on in your home, because it typically becomes like a storage space for a lot of people and a one-stop shop of drop it. Let's just put it in the garage. Let's just put it in the garage. And before you know it, it's just all of that over time, it builds up and adds up. And then you're stuck with this big, massive mess that you're like, how do I start this and where do I start? So have no fear. We're going to talk about how you can tackle that. So the first thing you really want to take into consideration is the time that it's going to take to do this. Allow more time than what you expect it to take. A day, a 2, a week, possibly. Because you're really going to want to be able to take everything out of the garage, and you typically need to use your driveway to sort through things, create the zones that you want, because it's usually bigger, bulkier items that are stored in the garage. The other thing that you want to take into consideration is if you are needing any type of product, to take a look at where you can find it and if they have it in stock. I know, for example, the Container Store has had a lot of items on back order this year, up to even a month. So that could really stop you in your tracks if you're going, hey, I want to add a shelf in the garage, but it's not going to be in stock for 4 more weeks. So you want to keep those things in mind when you're going through this. Now, when it comes to organizing your garage, some tips to help you in this process is to take it slow. And when you get out into the garage, you're gonna see just an overwhelm of stuff just staring at you. Pick a category and kind of start working through it and creating your zones. The holiday storage, sports equipment, outdoor equipment, whatever it may be. And then pick a particular category that you want to work on, whether it's, let's say it's the sports equipment, that you want to gather it all together, figure out what's still good, what you need to get rid of, that sort of thing. Then after you've kind of gone through, decluttered, figured out and sorted through all the items, then it's really about maximizing the space in the garage. Now, one common thing where you should look is the walls on your garage. Are they being utilized? Because most of the times they're not. Most homes don't have shelving built in on the walls when you buy a house or move into one. So one particular product that I love to recommend is the Alpha product from the Container Store, where you can add customized shelves to your garage, whether it may be 1 shelf, 2 shelves, 3 shelves, however you want it. It's very nice because you can tailor it and customize it to fit your needs. Shelves are an absolute game changer for the garage. So we really want to think about utilizing that space. Now, if you don't want to put things on the wall, the other option would be to use a freestanding shelf. Again, back to the whole shelves are a game changer. They are, because you get everything at eye level and you don't have to stack and pile things on top of one another. And when you have shelves laid out, you can see everything and it's easily accessible. You're not having to move multiple bins that are stacked up to each other, where if they're on the shelf, you can just grab them right there and put it back as you need them. Some other things to consider if you do not have is clear storage bins that match. Again, matching, if you've learned anything now by watching these videos, our brains love symmetry. So matching bins makes a world of a difference. Clear makes it a lot easier to see what's in there. So if you want to get some big, large matching storage bins, I'll have it linked in the notes of the weatherproof bins that I recommend from the Container Store, because they come in a variety of sizes that still can provide that cohesive, nice polished look, regardless of the different size items that you have in your garage. And then you want to make sure to label. You label your bins as much as you possibly can to prevent items going into the other one and that sort of thing. If you are a sports family, I highly recommend doing some type of sports organizer that is available. There's plenty of them out there, and we'll talk about them as we go into the videos here, but it just keeps everything neatly contained, and sports gear and equipment is very big and clunky. And when you have a nice organizer that keeps it all there, it's just a lot easier to grab and go when you're running off to practice. All right, so I know this is a lot to take right now, but I want you to tackle your garage because it is such a great feeling when you open up that garage and you walk in and you love it. It's like you're setting that tone when you walk into the rest of your house. It's just an amazing feeling. So we're gonna hop right into this and gonna show you some examples of products that you can use to get your garage nice and organized.
Okay, so here we are in this first scenario of this garage. So you can see that there's 3 matching shelves that are identical to one another. And then from there, you've got a lot of bins and some other bigger items. So when it comes to organizing and how this particular space was organized was creating zones. So that first shelf is all for the outdoor and camping equipment. The middle shelf is for the pool equipment and kind of outdoor gear by the pool. And then the last one is the gardening area where all the gardening supplies are. So that is kind of give you an example of how you can create zones. And then from there, you're going to work backward in terms of what you need access to quickly and immediately. So in the middle one, for example, is the pool toys. So those are going to be used a lot more frequently than getting those couch cushions, which is why those were all the way put up at the top so that when summer times come, you can just grab them and go stick them out there. And because the pool toys are something that are going to need to be taken out and put back whenever they need to be used. And so that's why having them there that are right in front of you rather than having to reach and grab a step stool, that sort of thing. So that's what you want to keep in mind is when you're putting things in, what gets used most frequently, and then work backwards from there. Okay, so as I mentioned before, using sports organizers to help keep your garage intact. This is a golf organizer and works beautifully for all of your golf equipment. I personally love this one, and I did quite a bit of research on golf organizers, and this one I like the design of it and the shelving units that keep everything there neatly contained because you can keep the golf balls right there, all kind of visible so you can see them and grab and go. And then you've got your second shelf down there where you put a bin in there to keep other kind of accessories neatly contained. And then down the bottom 2 shelves have a area, or I guess a wall protector on the side, so nothing's going to fall out of it. So that is where the golf covers went, and then the shoes there at the bottom. And then it fits 2 golf clubs very easily. And then on the ends, there's hooks as well, so you can add your hats or towel, whatever it may be that you need to hang your rain gear, all neatly, all together in one area. Okay, so here is the other sports organizer, very kind of similar to the golf organizer, but it keeps all of the other equipment, such as the soccer balls, basketballs, footballs, baseballs, all neatly together in the bottom. Those nice containers down there's a divider so you can separate one side from the other. So we typically try to keep like all the balls on one side and then the other equipment on the other side that is, large, bulky, which would be like the helmets, the gloves, the bats, those sort of things. But you can still see all of it, which is nice, and it's visible. And then you've got your shoe gear up at top as well. And then there's hooks on the ends, just like the golf organizer for the backpacks, the sporting gear there that you use to pack up your items to get to practice. You can just keep it all there. So this is really like your all-in-one organizer. Everything's in one location. You find what you need quickly, easily. It's very visible, sturdy, and you don't have to worry about like any type of gear getting lost because you just keep it all here. Okay, so here is another scenario of using a freestanding shelf in the garage. These bins are a personal favorite because you can really use them anywhere in the house. But in this particular area, I am a big proponent of open bins, meaning you can toss and throw things in there. And this scenario, this works well for that when you get the grab and go. So if at wintertime, the hats, gloves, you just take it out, grab what you need and go, rather than having to take off the lid, get what you need, and then, you have to set the bin down, put the lid back on, put it back up. There's a lot of steps involved, and I'm all about making things effortless and functional, and that happens here. So again, as we talked about, the matching bins provide symmetry. That's exactly what happens here. And then you've got those labels. So things go back in the right places. If there weren't labels there, it's very easy for things to just get thrown in there because you're like, oh, I'll just throw it in there. It doesn't really matter. And that's where that small buildup over time starts to happen. And that's why labels are extremely important, especially when you're putting them on bins. Okay, so this last scenario here is a freestanding unit. That's a drawer unit. And that is something that always creates more space by going vertical when you're organizing. So, and then that doesn't matter at any particular space that you're looking to do. Whenever you go vertical and add a drawer unit, you're adding more space. And this unit is great because it's metal, it's durable, it's sturdy, and has the mesh drawers, which also allow you to kind of peek in there and see what's in there rather than having a solid drawer where you can't see anything. So you can use this for a variety of different items in the garage. This particular scenario is for pool and beach gear, and then label them. Last but not least, as we've talked about before, the importance of labeling to get all your items in there so they keep going back to the right places. All right, my friends, that is it for this week's episode. As always, thank you for tuning in. It is now time for you to go get in the zone and get your garage organized.